Welcome to the Coolnomics Podcast. We're bringing the zeitgeist into the boardroom. The economy isn't just shaped by numbers, it's shaped by ideas, people, and stories. This is Coolnomics, an economic theory that helps us understand how culture moves economies worldwide. In this series, we're going to take you inside the machine of capitalism to understand exactly how cultural shifts influence where money moves, how industries rise, and why certain policies take shape.
I'm Fiona MacDonald. I'm a science and culture journalist, a media entrepreneur, and your co-host into this wild exploration of the intersection between zeitgeist and business strategy.
Welcome, Fiona. And I'm Robyn Wilson, the founder of Coolnomics and the CEO of Superora Venture Studio here in Sydney, Australia.
This season, we are inspired by the report that we've just dropped, which is the Resonance Report 2025, and our theme, which is how to thrive in an apocalypse. That was our slightly tongue-in-cheek take on what's happening in the world at the moment, what's going on in culture and economics. But as the weeks wear on and we're now into March 2025, it's actually feeling a little bit more real. We've just had a cyclone bearing down on us in Australia, bloodbath last week in the US stock markets and the Australian stock markets. We've got recession talks. We have a tariff war happening. We've got an election that's going to be called any day now. There is a lot going on. People are feeling the pinch. There's a cost of living crisis. There's a housing crisis. There's climate change happening in front of us. Yeah, it's a pretty wild time to be alive. But let's bring it back to basics. We're going to get into all of that and more in this episode. But where did Coolnomics as an economic theory actually come from?
Sure. So I've always wanted to do my PhD on the science of cool. I think cool is a really interesting phenomena. It's something that we all know about, yet we can't quite put our finger on it. It's highly contextual, it's ambiguous, yet it's ubiquitous. People can stand back and look at something and very naturally say, that's cool. So I became really interested in, sure, the science of cool, but then I thought, oh, what about the economics of cool? And so I put together my PhD proposal in late 2023, and then I thought, no, we need to bring this outside of the walls of academia. We need to bring this to the people. We need to build this body of work in real time. And we want to see and test and learn and experiment and see its impact in real time with the work that we're doing in our professions. So that's where Coolnomics came from. And I also think we have an opportunity here to bring a conversation to the surface that has three key groups in the one space: government leaders, business leaders, and culture leaders, the cool people over there: arts, entertainment, sport, people making things that have energy and emotion to them. I mean, fashion, Nike, it's all part of the one picture. Let's understand the magic and the science of what makes things stick and what makes money from certain ideas, so that then you can take those ideas all the way.
Yeah, and I think what's so important about why this is coming out now is we're in this period where cool really isn't in the hands of gatekeepers anymore. You know, when I started in the magazine industry in the early 2010s, it was editors who were deciding what was cool. It was, basically your cool friend at school. It was really passed down. It was really gatekeeped. And now we all have smartphones and we can pick what we want to see. The algorithm feeds us more of it. We choose what is cool now, and it's so different depending on what your group is. And I think there's like a lot of democratization of cool happening in front of us, which is really awesome. So I think that's an exciting time. But it also means that it's trickier for people and businesses to navigate these days and work out. So, how do I take all these little micro trends? How do I understand what's driving them? How to, taking that behavioral science lens and really applying it to business and applying it to policy and, as you say, then using that to get things to stick and to get it to work. So I think that that was one of the reasons we wanted to launch this series and turn this into our lo-fi podcast. We're obviously not in a podcast studio. We're recording from home. But, we thought now more than ever, people don't want to be talked down to. They don't want to be talked at. They don't want to read millions of reports. We want to break this down into bite-sized chunks, take it out from behind the paywall, and also bring people into the conversation. We would love to hear from you guys on socials ideas you're seeing, things you want to talk about, because it is a really confusing time. It's a complicated time. You know, we joke about it being an apocalypse, but it's also an exciting time where there's a lot of possibility. And yeah, I think it's going to be really cool to be able to break down these ideas together in real time with the audience as well. So when we go back to the goals of Coolnomics and what we're trying to achieve when we put it out there into the universe, what are some of the goals?
Sure. So I think Coolnomics will develop in three different phases. Phase one, introduce the idea to the world and map out a territory for exploration. And like I said, bring those three groups together, government, business, and culture, into the one conversation, create frameworks, create a lexicon, and create environments and experiences where people can unpack this together. Great. That was late last year. We released the white paper. Now we're already in phase two. We're moving quite fast because we've gotten enough response from the right people around us, leaders in these spaces, saying, yeah, there's something here. Yeah. Why does IKEA lead the market in that space? Why does Lego work? Why does Netflix work? Why does A24 have such a foothold in the cult film and media space? Yeah, there's a magic to it. So we're in phase two now, where we've released our first report focused on Australia and what we're seeing happening across health, technology, intelligence, utility, community, public spaces, absurdity, humor, entertainment, restaurants, etc. And then phase three, sorry, we bring it to life in the report, and then we're also implementing this in real time in the work that we do, in my case, with the clients that we work with in building their businesses, and you, Fiona, in the media space. And then phase three, wouldn't it be cool if one day we could help impact the next generation of business leaders in universities and schools, helping kids understand, how does economics work? How does culture work? How do I bring my idea to life? How do I take something from nothing, from scratch, and take it all the way through? And as we've both seen across our careers, you know, you can create something really cool, but it won't necessarily make any money. And you can create something that makes money, but it won't necessarily endure and make as much money as it could, because it hasn't linked in or latched onto that cultural flywheel that, you know, Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point taught us, that if you can latch on at the right moment, with the timing, with the right proposition, then naturally this phenomena occurs where it multiplies and compounds, and things like cultural contagion occur. So that's how I sort of see this story going, but it's a live, breathing body of work that is being implemented in real time. We're inviting the contribution from our professional peers, as well as all of our listeners out there, to build this thing in real time, because cool sits in the hands of the people. Now, it's not hidden behind a curator or an editor telling us what's cool. We tell businesses what we think is cool and relevant to us at any point in time.
Absolutely. You're so right that, yeah, it really has gone back into the hands of people, which is great. But yeah, I love that you talked a little bit about education, and wouldn't it be cool if this was taught to students? Because that was the mindset that, you know, we really wove into the report. There is a section in the report called Wouldn't It Be Cool If? And the idea behind that is, you know, we're not just being fantastical. We would love to see a world where CFOs, CEOs are sitting in the boardroom and they're starting the conversations going, wouldn't it be cool if, you know, we were up there with a huge market share because actually our products were what the kids are pestering their parents to buy, that type of thinking. And I know that both of you and I have been on boards, have been CEOs, have led teams. A lot of the time, the conversation is very much around limitations. It's like, oh, we can't do that. This is our budget. Hamstrung. And obviously that is reality, and we don't want to ignore reality. But I think the thinking that we come into this with is, wouldn't it be cool if, imagine the stuff that we could do if we unlocked all of this. And that is the whole point of the Zeitgeist, is we're moving forward. We're not trying to recreate Sydney Nightlife 2010. Unfortunately, it was a great time. We are.
It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. We've moved on. Yeah. Where are we now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where are we now? Where are we now? We're looking at it honestly. And I think, yeah, that's the whole point of this series. I feel like that's something refreshing, really accepting where we're at, looking at it, and looking where we're going next.
Yeah. And Coolnomics provides us with a space that is a neutral observation point. I think we're shifting out of an era, this is in the report as well, you know, the changing way that the way that public discourse unfolds in real time, and the way that we can come together with our collective intelligence. It's not going to work anymore saying, here's my opinion versus your opinion. We're ready for the next level of nuance. We're ready to say, okay, what are the elements in my perspective versus your, and what are the elements in your perspective that are useful and relevant. We want to bring critical thinking. We want to bring more robust conversations that enable us to bring the best parts of all of the worlds together. And my hope is that Coolnomics helps us to create a space where we can fully face the reality that we're looking at. And us as business people, we know that you need to be able to see the challenges and the opportunities in the one picture, not deny a single part of it, and work with the power of reality that we have here. So I just get the sense that there's a need for that. And like, for example, in politics, right, you've got two different movements. If you think of it in a binary way, you've got conservative parties, and then you've got progressive parties. The role of the conservative movement is to retain and protect what we already have. I can see some value in that thinking. And then on the other side, the role of the progressive movement is to move things forward, to disrupt, to do things, to challenge the status quo and to do something new. Great. So if you have one on one side, it's too unstable. If you have too much on the other side, then we become stagnant and stuck. How could we work with reality, the darkness and the light in the one picture, to create alchemy, to work with the texture, to create really cool things that are really important to, that are what we want right now. And I've seen this occur across my career. We see this happen all the time out there in the world. Look at Crocs, look at Stanley Cup, like look at Crocs, right? So like an ugly shoe. Yes, Terence Riley, he's the guy that, really was responsible for the Crocs and Stanley phenomena. Yes, that the whole alchemy of Crocs and Stanley Cup is that they were ugly. They are ridiculous. Yes, that's the point. You need to work with that and figure out, okay, ugly, cool, how do I make it happen? Okay, a drink bottle. Actually, people drinking water, carrying something in their hand that has some sort of aesthetic value, I think that's providing emotional support. Boom. Young women, emotional support, therapy talk, trauma, etc. It hit the mark. So there's a phenomena to it, but we can break down the science behind it. And again, we're not trying to take away the mystery and the magic of cool. You couldn't even do that if you tried. You can't control what's cool, but what you can do is work with some of the principles that we work with here at Coolnomics to create an architecture that makes sure that you're aligning with where the world is moving at any point in time, and making sure that your commercial offering or the policy that you're writing is working with the alchemy of what is really happening with humanity at any stage.
Absolutely. And I think that's what we're going to break down in this series, which is so very exciting. To wrap up each episode, we are going to be putting it out there to each other. Wouldn't it be cool if, at the moment, it'd be cool if in the coming weeks we see both major parties in Australia leading their campaigns with climate action, fighting over who can do the most climate action, who's going to do the best.
Fighting over who could do the most. Yes, that sounds great. I mean, who could argue with that? Who could say, that doesn't sound cool to me? Oh no, it doesn't sound cool to fix the environment so that humanity can live on. I mean, I don't think you could argue with that, Fiona. I love that. That's a great, wouldn't it be cool if, and then it makes you, when you propose it in that way, you start to think, yeah, hang on a minute. Why isn't that happening? Yeah, I think there's a logic to cool as well. There's a logic to it.
There are so many other struggles. I'm not taking away from the fact that we need major economic change, but I think just opening up those conversations, saying, wouldn't it be cool if? Yeah, I'm not saying you have to do that. I understand why there are reasons you may not, but wouldn't it be cool if? And let's have that mindset. Yeah. Let's be open to that. I think that's very exciting. What is your wouldn't it be cool if?
That's a great one. Thanks for that, Fiona. Wouldn't it be cool if, hey, government leaders, the environment, I love it. Well, look, my one this week would be, wouldn't it be cool if the economy didn't crush humanity? Wouldn't it be cool if our economy supported human beings to live really good lives, to run really good businesses? It allowed government leaders to move the government's objectives forward in a way that was good for humanity. We're all living in a cost of living crisis. We're seeing it right now. The people that are listening to this right now, I'm sure you're all, but potentially you're hearing all of these ideas like, yeah, I mean, that all sounds cool, love it, but how do I pay my rent? How do I make sure I protect my family? So I guess that's one of the aims that I hope for Coolnomics as well, is that by developing our knowledge collectively in the way that, the fiscal side of the picture, the commercial side, the economic side works, then we can become more empowered and we can become more active participants in how our world moves forward, and to have a better ability to bridge that space between culture and economics. So that's my wouldn't it be cool if we weren't crushed by capitalism and in fact supported by it.
And that's the thing, right? Like that is what we're doing here. We want to bring the conversation out. We're educating people, and that's where the change happens. So the more informed you are, the better decisions you can make. And yeah, that's why we're here. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, we'll catch you next episode. Let's talk more about thriving in an apocalypse. Hey, P.
Woo, can't wait. Bye.